why this road name's Keling, why this place named Keling, nobody knows anymore. Some of the Keling were also called Raden because they integrate themselves, marry with interlocal. This is the same like from my hometown, all these sarungs, right? The type of the foods, the culinary, This is another sample of the letters coming from 18th century among the collection of Francis Light, among the collection of Francis Light. And basically this letter belong to Said Pillai Marikan. So Marikan, I will talk a bit more later on about the Marikan wealthy mercantile networks. They were shipbuilders, they were merchants, they were also, involved in some kind of religious activities. Okay. So my point is this. I make two arguments in this book. The first one is that, come the question, why there was such a fluidity in the past. I come to that question. This is my first argument. The universality of the Indo-Malay global order before the 18th century facilitated Keling's globalization and the proliferation of the grander images across the Indian Ocean and Straits of Malacca. So my argument is that the global order of Indian Ocean at that time, before the 18th century, is what allow all these kind of differences. Not only the Kelings basically, but the Chinese, the Arabs, the France, right? And the British, the Swedish, all these kind of non-imperial non-imperial actors or merchants come together to these places. They could mingle and integrate themselves with the locals. There was that kind of universal type of economic relations, and that is because of that kind of universality that owned by the region Indo-Malay global order, or what you call it now in your mental map, so-called, the Malay world, or even now you know it as Southeast Asia, right? Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, etc. Yeah. So this is, very much related to the island states, the fact that this region, connected more with the waters, with seas rather than land, is what supported the global order has to act that way. Because all these islands, if they stay disconnected, if they stay inward looking, they won't be able to run the economy, their political stability. There should be a constant and sustainable connectivity that allow this such a global order to take place for many centuries, 600 years before the 18th century colonialism. Okay. Yeah. And then different players, same trade routes, right? This is also connected to what I said previously. And within all these times, the Chiti, you kind of find in many records, this kind of family traders, that become wealthy and then contributive more into the system of the sovereignties, in Southeast Asia. So the Chiti, Nainar, Chulia, Labai, Raudar, Sahib, Marakayar, Bivi, and Gauts. Yeah. So this sort of thing, as a historian, how did I find it? So I just remember a scholar named Robert Wilde, if I'm not mistaken, Richard Roberts, sorry. So he said that the most reliable way, to construct history is by identifying names, not by events, not by other things, but by names. Is it names of place? Is it names of people? Because, as if you see here like this, and you are Indonesian from Malay, you are Indonesian. If you look at this kind of word, do you think this is coming from your community? No, right? Your people has, Chiti as a name, Nainar as a name, Labai as a name. All of this foreign to our ear, isn't it? This is not, this group of family did not originate from our society, right? So that's why when I learned about this, oh my God, who is this guy? I don't know any kind of sahib or author in my society. So I dig somewhere, and then finding out that this guy coming from, the Coromandel coast. Yeah, coming from South India, the Malabar, the Kerala, But it doesn't mean that, when we say something like this, it means that, they come here or something, with the fear of migration. There was no such migrational fear, in these days when this guy came. There was only connection and economic interdependence, and that sort of thing. So there was no like immigration strife, like fearing that they're going to take the economy of the people, etc. Then that's what happened currently, in many countries. So it was fluid. People were not afraid to find Chiti, Naina, Chulia trading in your coastal areas because they bring in jobs, right? They bring in economy, something. So yeah, I mean, like this is kind of a good comparison to take. So these are all names. Yeah, these are all names, and all of them combining from Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So Nainar Chatum's Malacca, Nainar Kuniapan is basically a merchant, Malacca, that trading from Malacca, Sumatra to Ambon, and then along the way to China. You can read the Sanjay Subramaniam works on this guy, Nainar Kuniapan, and he was basically a diplomat, advisor to Pasai Sultanate at the time, and which is in Sumatra. And then Purvan, Priyatambi, this is also wealthy merchants that going around this region. Sidi Muhammad is in Perak in Malaysia. He has become the economical advisor to the Sultan in Perak. Marikan Muhammad is also wandering around between Aceh, Kedah, and South India. Mir Jamal, this is Kedah advisor. This is a South Indian economic advisor in Kedah who was envied by Francis Light. Yeah. So there were this guy, all this name, hailing at domestic level. From merchant, they rise their position into this one. They become Shah Bandar, they become Sultan advisor, they become local Raja, right? They rise in position. So they were so influential in the 19th century. Yeah, so influential in the 19th century that European traders at that time find them as a rival, economic rival to them. Yeah. And it's not because of, they have like kind of, sophisticated economic infrastructure is so on, no, but because of the trust that built between the South Indian traders with the locals, that they could manage a really long voyage, for instance. They built ships and they ensured the commodities, was not fell into a wrong hands. So that sort of thing. And also beside that, I think the most crucial part is that the tax on commodities that they impose is only 15%, compared to the Dutch and the British, who impose 40% to 70% on the commodities. So yeah, so that sort of things. Yeah. This is just a graveyard located in Aceh. Yeah. So the graveyard from 15th century, Naina Hisana bin Naina, these guys at the royal position. Okay, now we come here, right? Now we come here in 18th century. This is another evidences of how universal was the global order at the time, right? This is the exact sample of how the local sultanates utilized the quality of the foreigners, to involve in their diplomatic business, right? In the diplomatic affairs. And you can see the French, there was a Chinese Sultan sent Abu Bakr Labai to Carnatic, to discuss about a dispute related to vessels and gold commodities against the French, who resided in Carnatic at that time, who was in alliance to the Carnatic kings at the time. So the reason, the Aceh Sultan sent this guy because this guy's coming from South India, and he knows the language, right? He knows the language. He could speak, the Indian language, the Hindustani probably, or I don't know. It is not written specifically, but there is a kind of assumption that this guy, because of the language ability, that's why the Sultan entrusted him, as a diplomat, to reach, the Carnatic and talk, to be asking the king of Carnatic to mediate between the French and Aceh at the time. Another diplomat is the one that sent to Istanbul, yeah, the name is the Marikan, yeah, Muhammad Marikan, the Captain Marikan. The letters called his name as Captain Marikan, Captain Marikan. Basically, there are several other diplomats too from the Arabs, even from Italians, Moreno, for instance, to the France king. So yeah, so this is South Indian American clan, Muhammad Gauth. Muhammad Gauth still question mark. There's not enough proof, to appoint, to look at him as, having that kind of direct lineage to South Indian. There's something that needs to be done. That's why I put a question mark here. But Sidi Muhammad is confirmed that he is from that lineage. And this is the development in 19th century during colonialism. Yeah, European consulates in the Straits Settlement. Yeah, there are Siam consulate and America consulate, and actually also keep on sending many diplomats that capable in using numerous language, who are polyglots in documenting, communicating the issues of colonialism and trade implication. Right. So this is like that. This is Turkish. It is this letter written in Jawi. Yeah, and then being translated into Turkish Osmanlıca.